girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so1 Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival returns to historic Cruise Stadium. Slipknot, Disturbed, Pantera, The Original Misfits, Evanescence, Limp Bizkit, Judas Priest, Stain, Breaking Benjamin, A Day to Remember, Falling in Reverse, Sleep Token, Rise Again, 311, Seether, Mudvayne, and many more. May 16th through the 19th, Columbus, Ohio. Tickets on sale now at SonicTempleFestival.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble or BitChute or Odyssey, please hit that follow and subscribe button. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever podcast platform you utilize, please hit that follow and subscribe button so we can continue to bring you conversations like the one I'm bringing you today. We're talking with Jim Fergades of the band Morbid Saint. What's going on, Jim?
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was, looking forward to this conversation. Oh, I forgot to ask you where we went on before we went on. Like, where are you located right now?
I'm in. You mean physically? Like I'm in my house? But I'm in Sheboygan, Wisconsin right now.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure because it's been a hectic schedule, and I've done interviews with people in Kuwait and in Switzerland and stuff like that. So I was wondering because of the time if I forgot to read if you guys were stateside and everything. But
yep.
So usually when I have somebody on for the first time, I like to get a quick background though, and I wanted to ask originally, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I don't know. I can't even remember back that far. I'd probably have to say a rock star. I mean, the only thing I can really remember thinking a lot about was music when I was young. I wasn't actually playing music, but I was a huge Kiss fan when I was like 10 years old. And yeah. I mean, I would just sit and spend all my time listening to Kiss, and like a lot of other people I'm sure have done. You have to get your friends and all dress up and have little Kiss concerts and Air Jam, and I don't really remember thinking about much of anything else besides that, and until even when I started playing, it's always been I've always thought about music. I guess I never really thought about being anything else, and now I work in an office.
Yeah, Kiss has been the gateway for myself and so many others, man. Into this musical world.
Yeah.
But when was it that? You said this was before you even started playing. You were a fan of music, but when was it that? And what inspired you to start playing music?
My dad, he tried to get me. My dad plays a lot of instruments, and he tried to get me into guitar when I was about that 10, 11 age, and I just showed no interest in it. It seemed like a cool thing to do, but it just didn't make sense to me at the time. It wasn't until about when I was 13 that I picked it up on my own. for some reason. I don't even remember why. I just started playing and kept playing after that till after the band broke up. And I mean, I'm kind of jumping around, but after Morbid broke up, I, for the most part, didn't play guitar for about 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually, so when you find something that you want to do, you're not as passionate about it when there's other people kind of nudging you to do something. You have to come back around, and it has to be something that you want to do for it to really,
Right. Yep. And that's exactly what happened. And you don't think of that at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously you look back at that, as you get older, and that's very true. And that holds true to exactly how the band is today.
Yeah. And then I want to get into, when did Morbid Saint first come together? Was it a bunch of friends that you connected with in high school, or how did it come to be?
Yeah, I was playing with a drummer that I knew before I really was serious about guitar. He was a great drummer. He was actually the one of the first drummers that we started Morbid Saint with. It wasn't Morbid Saint at the time, but I was jamming with him. And I had known Jay and Mike Chapa, and had actually played with them prior in a cover band. We played Judas Priest and Maiden and Motley Crue and stuff like that early on. And but then I was with the other drummer, and all of a sudden it just happened that Jay and Chapa weren't doing much, and we all got together, and that was technically the first beginning of what became Morbid Saint. The only thing that changed at that point was the drummer. He had left, and then we got Lee, and that was the first version of Morbid Saint. It wasn't still technically called Morbid Saint, but it became that real quick.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask too. Is you said you played in some cover bands with friends, but then when did you start doing original music? And it was something before it became Morbid Saint. Then
it was the band that ultimately became Morbid Saint. Me, Jay, Mike, and Lee, when we got together, and then we were still a cover band. We were Morbid Saint, but we were a cover band. We basically played a ton of Slayer. Mike played bass and sang, and we looked like Slayer. And so we played a lot of Slayer, Metallica, Creator, Exodus, Nuclear Assault, Whiplash, just anything, any thrash from back then as we were playing it. And then that slowly progressed into us writing our own stuff. We never really sat down and said, let's make an album. We would just tinker around with parts, and all of a sudden, we got a song, and so that's how the first few handful of songs started. But we always played cover songs even with our originals. When people started knowing our originals, when we released the first demo, we still played cover songs, because we would play shows and play for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Well, we didn't have enough music for that, so we still always played Slayer. We always did that. So it didn't really stop till almost towards the end, when we were strictly just playing our songs at shows.
And then what was the inspiration for picking the name Morbid Saint?
Jay came up with that, and there's a little debate about exactly how he came up with it, but it the best I can give you is he came up with it either listening to either Celtic Frost or Morbid Angel, and that's the best I got for you. I will actually have to sit down and see if he can actually nail it down for me and just let him know. We have practice tomorrow night, so because I've been getting asked that a lot. So I may ask him tomorrow. How did you actually? Because he may have told us, but you're talking 30 years ago. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I know it's something on the lines of one of those two bands for some reason. But I am definitely going to find out because I'm getting asked it. I'm getting a lot of people are asking me how we came up with that name. So I'm going to have to find
And then,
out.
like when you guys, finally started like kind of writing your own material and stuff, like about how old were you guys back then? Like, and what was it that was the driving force behind Morbid Saint then?
I was always the oldest person in the band. Jay is right behind me. I want to say when we first started, I think I was, oh boy, I think I was around 18, 17, 18, somewhere around there. Lee, when we got Lee in the band, he was 14 and was an amazing drummer for 14 years old. I there I don't think any one person in the band at that time was like a force. I know there's a lot of bands that are like that where you got the I guess everybody would say Metallica. Hetfield's the driving force behind that band. I don't know, maybe Lars, but we never really had any one person that was really pushing to do this or do that. We all just kind of we weren't trying to be rock stars or whatever you want to call metal gods, whatever. We just wanted to play and party, and that's what we did. And so I don't say there was any one. It was kind of everybody was just together at what we were doing. So yeah.
So like most of you were still in like high school when this was going on. What were some of the biggest shows that you guys got to play for back then?
Back then, probably we played Metal Fest 3 with there's a lot of bands on there, but the two big ones that I can remember was Nuclear Assault and Death. Obviously, Death was on that show.
Nice.
So we played Death on that show, and then we played on I want to say it was called like the Ultimate Revenge Tour or something with Death and Dark Angel. We got on that when they came to Milwaukee, so we got to open up for Death and Dark Angel. Those are probably the two biggest shows because playing with the biggest bands. We never toured. A lot of people think we toured. They think we toured with Death. We didn't. We played a lot of shows. We had some bigger shows around this area with Realm. Some of the bands back in the day from around here, Acrofet, Dr. Shrinker. Those were kind of bigger shows. Wrath, we played with Wrath and Racine, and but I'd have to say Metal Fest, and that Ultimate Revenge with Death and Dark Angel were probably our biggest shows back then.
Nice. What was the scene like out there around that time, and what were some of your favorite venues?
We're from a small town. There really ain't a whole. There's a small scene here, like I'm sure is typical of any small town with guys who are into metal. So in Sheboygan, our hometown, the place that we used to play the most, that was like shows, was a place called Creation Hall. And we have a video of some flash pops that we did back in the day on our YouTube channel that was filmed at Creation Hall. And it was a really cool venue. We were kind of the only people at the time who were setting up metal shows there. And in Milwaukee, there was the Crystal Palace and the Rave it was the Eagles Club back then. Those are kind of the bigger places to play. Like I said, we're close to Milwaukee, which is big. We're close to Green Bay, which is bigger. But we didn't venture out a whole lot.
Gotcha. And what was the, would you say was probably one of the main reasons why you guys called it quits back then?
I think just you get older and you get to a point where there's other priorities in life, whether it's family, jobs, that really is kind of what ended everything for us, where it slowly, as when you're in it and you're still going, and you get to a point where all of a sudden you got a new job, and you're looking at, I really need to start being seriously about trying to make some money, and
Yeah.
and you just get to a point where no matter how much you love this, then I got to eat, and the band.
Yeah. Or you got, mouths to feed and stuff too. Then, it's
Right.
not just about you anymore.
Right.
You know how that changes things.
Yeah. It was really never the band, just, like we were going to kill each other or something, it just kind of slowly drifted. Everybody kind of was like, Morbid Saint has never paid any of our bills. It still doesn't to this day, and we don't expect it to, which is, being realistic. So, that's pretty much what it was. You got to give. You can love doing something, but if it's not paying your bills, unfortunately, something's got to go, and it's not going to be the job.
Yeah. But you guys were able to put together back then an LP Destruction System. Like, how did that do for you guys back then?
Destruction System back then, the only version of that anybody knew about was the black tape that we released, which is 4 songs off of Destruction System. Destruction wasn't released back then because we never finished it. We were slowly going into the studio, buying time whenever we could, and trying to come up with another demo, essentially. And the band started, drifting apart, and we never finished it. So it was never actually released. The only reason it was released is because it got leaked by somebody that we don't know. We never released that album on the band never put it out because it was never done. So what's out there is it's an unfinished album. Is realistically, I mean, they've done some work to it to try to make it sound the best they can. And I think they've done it right with it, but the vocals, Pat's vocals were kind of like scratch vocals in a sense. They were put down. They weren't intended to be the actual vocals that were on the album. There's just a lot of stuff about it. It wasn't done, and
Gotcha.
so now it did get out, and now, like everything else, it is what it is, and we don't have no animosity towards anybody. We don't know who leaked it. We don't. But and the album, people seem to like it, so it is what it is. We just.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. It's like, even though it got kind of leaked without your guys' approval and stuff, was there a buzz? Did it keep a buzz about you guys during that time that you guys, were not playing together?
Right, and that's kind of why we kind of embrace a lot of that stuff. We get a lot of questions too about, for some reason, we're like a big band for guys who want to bootleg stuff, and I'm sure everybody is, but we just seem to get a ton of bootleg stuff, and we don't really care about that. We kind of like like you just said about Destruction System. We weren't doing anything. But there's other people going, what? Morbid Saint ain't going to put out, they're not going to make, new shirts or stuff. Well, we're going to do it. So yeah, there's people who did that and made money off of our name, but ultimately they're the one, they kept the name out there,
Yeah.
So we don't really hold it against any of those guys that are, bootleg.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take something from me now, you're going to hear from me, but back then, no, it's fine, and it's been pretty decent for that now, with people contacting us and actually trying to get some permission to use stuff, which we appreciate.
Yeah. And then, so, that was 30 years ago. Why is now the right time to get back together and release, Swallowed by Hell?
Well, for me, I didn't play for a long time, and I own my own business. So Jay was always asking me when he got the band back together in 2010 or right around there. He's always asking me because I live by Jay, So we're close. We've always been in touch. So he's always asked me to, but I like I said, I had my own business. I never had the time to do it, And it was always one of those things. I always stuck to that where am I going to put where's my efforts? What do I put my effort into? Is it something that's going to make me money and pay my bills? And I'm not going to neglect that for something that's not gonna. And I knew the band never would do that, so I just couldn't bring myself to sacrifice time that needs to go into my business into the band, because I'm like that. If I'm gonna do something, I'm not gonna do it basically half-assed. I'm either in or I'm not. So Jay had always been asking me, and I sold my business in 2019, and took a little bit of time and talked with my wife and decided I really would like to play, and it worked out at the same time that the band that Jay had formed at that time was kind of split up. Nobody really knew what was going on. They kind of just everybody drifted. So Jay ended up calling me one day, and I had actually was like I said, even discussing it with my wife. So he said Pat was on board and he could get Bob and DJ from the last formation of the band. They were on board, and it just worked out. It really worked out because I had the time and Pat had the time. Pat had just moved back. He was gone from here for a while, so he just moved back. It kind of just everything worked. I don't know why. It just the timing worked out. I know we've gotten some comments, which I don't really pay attention to a lot of comments online on stuff, but there's people saying it's the nostalgic cash grab that we're doing. Just thinking because there's a following for Spectrum that we should make another album and sell it and make some money. That couldn't be further from the truth. We wanted to get together and we wanted to put on another album, and we know we're not going to make any money off this. I mean, if people think we're making money, that's fine, but we know we're not in this for the money. We don't need to be at our stage in life and in our careers or whatever we've decided to pursue. We don't need to make the money. We're not doing this for the money. We're doing it to put out finally put an album out after all these years. Like I said, Spectrum didn't, we're not real happy with the sound of that album. But we appreciate that it is what it is, and people like it for what it is, and that's fine. Destruction System got leaked on us, never got finished. So we really wanted to put an album out that it's like, all right, let's do this the way we want to do it, make it sound the way we want to do it, and that's what we're doing. We're not here to try to steal people's money. I mean, if that's not the case.
Yeah, kind of. You had some unfinished business, and now it's like, all right, we got this finally off the checklist. Now's the right time. Everybody's more mature. You said you guys kind of stayed in touch during the whole, past 30 years. And how was getting back together then and recording, to put this album together? What was that like for you?
We have a really good. The band is a real good unit right now, because I think it's because we're drive. We still have the drive to do what we want to do, but there's nobody telling us we need to do this. You got to do this. There's no expectations from us. We're not trying to, like you said, we're not trying. Our biggest goal was to put the album out, and hopefully people like it, and we really want to play some big festivals. That's really our goal, and possibly put another album out. But getting back together was rough for me because I hadn't played guitar in a long time. So it took a while. We took about the first half a year or so to get going, get the band, us five together, playing together good, and building up endurance. It's hard to play this fast when you're freaking old, and it's a lot harder than I had anticipated. But it comes back, and your muscles getting used to that and everything. But It was great, and recording was I mean, the guys in the band, DJ did a phenomenal recording the drums. He did a phenomenal job with that. Everybody else did. I think Pat, we're always going to get people who say something about Pat. His doesn't sound like Spectrum. That's fine. He's 30 some years older than what he was back then. He's going to sound different. If you think he's not, I don't know what to say. But he did an awesome job in the studio, pounded the vocals out in, I think, 2 days. And it was a good experience. And it's nice to know that we finally, when we recorded the other, Spectrum of Death, when we recorded that, we recorded it live. And we did all of it, I think 8 of the songs or 7, whatever, in one take. And then we had to record the other 2 over. We did it like in a weekend. And because we had no money, this is what we're spending. Whereas now we're doing however long it takes. It doesn't matter, whatever. We're going to pay for to get to make sure the final product is what we want. And we're still not on no budget like all these other bands that have record labels behind them, and they're going to throw ridiculous amounts of money at you to record an album, which is fine. But once you do that, they pay for the album, they own it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and then like, what was the inspiration for the name Swallowed by Hell?
Well, we just released the last single off the album, which was Rise from the Ashes, and it really was between those 2 songs for the name of the album. Rise from the Ashes seemed really fitting at first. It was like, because this is the first album in such a long time.
Yeah.
But we kind of, when we with Spectrum of Death, that album was technically Lock Up Your Children, the demo, and we never really, that just didn't seem right. And the reason that album became Spectrum of Death was because the whole album kind of is about death and that kind of stuff. So Spectrum of Death kind of just really encompassed the whole album, and we felt that Fuck Them All. Not sorry, that's a different song on the album.
No, I enjoyed that one.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love that song, but we thought Swallowed by Hell really was it was the same way for this album. It kind of encompassed a lot. I'm not going to get into, I always let everybody interpret words the way they want to interpret them, or the songs, because we just stay out of that stuff. But Swallowed by Hell kind of, it seemed to encompass the entire album. That just felt more natural than Rise, I guess. Rise from the Ashes seemed almost cliche, I guess.
But I'll tell you this, as I was listening to the album, which is going to be coming out on High Records here in February 9th, I believe. People can pick it up.
On High Rollers, it's going to be February 10th, which is next Saturday.
Okay.
And on February 9th, you can get it on our website at 11 o'clock. We did that with all of our singles too. They always go to Spotify. Everywhere else, everything releases at midnight, but we release it on our website at 11 just because we're just weird. We just thought we like to be an hour ahead of everybody. So if you really want it, you can purchase it, download it, whatever, on our website at 11 o'clock on the 9th. So that's why we're pushing the 9th as the release date.
Gotcha. And then speaking of Rise from the Ashes, I mean, that's the opening track. And I mean, just right away though, what I, notice is it sets the tone for the album. It's just like, I mean, it shreds, man. So I could see, it definitely, like you were saying, might have seemed cliche, but it was like, yeah, Morbid Saint's here, baby.
Yeah. Thank you. We've putting a, you think you write 10 songs and you just throw them on an album, but actually putting them in an order takes a lot. That's a lot of thought, thinking about what order you want these songs to hit you on the album. And Rise just seemed like, it's like, yeah, let's just hit them with this one right away, because it comes out right, comes out of the gates just going. And we purposely held that one off for the last single to be released, Um, I think it's doing well for reviews or people. I I don't have a lot of time to keep an eye on stuff, but I hope people like it. It's a relentless song to play. It's not as long as Assassin is off of Spectrum, but it's kind of on the lines of that where it's taxing.
Yeah, you talk about that having to work those muscles again and get that muscle memory going. I mean, right from the gate, there you are, man.
Yep. Yeah, that tests your endurance but we're for us the old shits that we are, we're doing all right.
And then I think another one that definitely put you to work, it sounded like to me, was Pine Tuxedo.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I really like how Pine turned out. I the whole beginning, the I guess the like atmosphere kind of creates everything. The opening solo, and in the breakdown in there, and it's got that off timing weird middle like chorus, the chorus part where it goes into that weird timing part in there that and that I like every song on this album for a different reason, but I like Pine. I'm glad you mentioned Pine because I really like Pine.
Oh, that one's a ripper, man. I there's another one I really dug. I mean, yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, the whole album. I mean, but you, like I said, setting the tone with Rise from the Ashes, Pine Tuxedo, just like, I'm sure you had to, like ice after.
Oh yeah. It's really, obviously, because we're only playing, we've only played 2 shows and we're getting, some shows added or coming up now and stuff. We're always going to play the old stuff, Spectrum. I mean that's what people want to hear, but we are definitely going to mix it up with the new stuff. We don't, we want to play more new than old. The problem is right now we're getting spots on festivals where we get, I think if I remember correctly, when we played Metal Fest last year, which was great, but I think we got like 20 minutes. Our set was 20 minutes.
Was that Milwaukee's Metal Fest?
Yeah, Milwaukee Metal Fest.
Nice.
Yeah, we played that. Which
I'm glad Josta brought that back, man.
Yeah, I am. And like I said, we were glad to be on it. I just, I wish we would have got a little longer of a set. You get 20 minutes. And you got a new album, you got new music to play. You kind of got to really. It's hard to figure out what do you want to play in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Well, hopefully now with the new album, maybe they'll buy you guys, more time at some of these to get out and support.
We're hoping so because we know like Houston's coming up. Never been to Houston, so I'm sure they want to hear Spectrum. So we're gonna try to mix that one up the best we can. Yeah. With the time we have, But I'm really looking forward to playing the new songs live. I love playing the new songs just because how I guess for me it really makes you feel alive when you have to work so freaking hard to do something so ultimately kind of simple, it really lets you know that you're human and there's a pride in after people see how you're playing this stuff and how fast you're actually playing. People I don't think they really realize until they see us live how fast our hands are moving. They're it's a blur.
Yeah.
And it's rewarding to be able to do that.
And another one that I that caught my eye and ear that I wanted to check out was Burn Pit. Because that was a big issue. I'm a retired military, and that was a big issue with my last deployment, being exposed to the burn pits. But they didn't sound as good as as your guys' version. What do you know? What the inspiration was for that song?
I wrote the lyrics for Burn Pit, and I apologize. I never. It was never meant to in that the sense that you're talking about. It was not meant that way. Burn Pit was the song is it's loosely based on a fella up here in Wisconsin that had a Netflix documentary done about him, Stephen Avery. Not sure if you're aware of him.
No, I don't think I caught that one.
He was a gentleman. It's called Making a Murderer. He's a gentleman who had a junkyard, and all kinds of stuff happened with him. He basically got framed, sat in jail for like 8-10 years something, and then he got exonerated on that. They found the real guy who did what they and the cops up here kind of framed him, not in my town, but about a half hour from me. And then they end up getting him for murder again. But he ended up. I don't want to get into it too much, but trying to explain. They found the bones of the woman that he supposedly killed in his burn pit in his backyard. So this song is based on that whole story. So it's loosely based on it. Some of but it's basically about a serial killer. So
gotcha.
That's the burn pit. Like I said, I apologize if it made.
No, I mean, I'm just saying because I saw the name and then I'm like, okay, I got to check this one out. And then I knew, okay, it's not about,
right,
what I experienced, but
okay. Yeah. That's good.
that was the thing that, past couple of years, they were like pushing a thing, like get on the register if you served over in, the Middle East during this time period, because if you could, have health issues or whatever, and it was called the Burn Pit Registry or whatever,
Okay.
stuff. So,
all right.
But
yeah. How did you like that song?
Oh, I dug that one. Yeah, I really like that one too. I wanted to ask you too about the album cover artwork, because that takes it back to that old school like thrash type art. Who did that artwork for you guys?
We really, when it came to the artwork on the album, we threw around a lot of different ideas. We could have had there's a lot of great artists out there, and we could have a lot of people that do the artwork, and probably for cheaper than what we had, which wasn't bad anyway. But we really wanted Ed Repka. From back in the day, he's done how many Megadeth albums, the Death albums. He's responsible for them. They call him the king of thrash metal art. And he's done so many albums, covers for albums. And we were like, let's contact him and see if it's possible. If we can get him, and he's willing to do it, and he was, and it worked out, and I love the album cover, but we're happy that for us it's also we knew Ed was going to do a great job. His artwork is great, but it was also, it's kind of a nostalgic thing for us too. That for us to grow up seeing all these albums that he's every time it was like, oh, Repka, Repka, it was always him. On all these thrash albums, so for us to be able to have him do ours, it's for us, I don't care what anybody says. If you like the album cover, you do, you don't, it is what it is. But for us, it's an honor to have him have our album cover done by Ed Repka. It's great.
Well, and that's what like you said, you hit the nail on the head with nostalgia, because that's when I was, I'm old school, where it's like I liked picking up albums, a hard copy, and like enjoying the artwork and enjoying the, if the lyrics and reading the liner notes and stuff like that as I'm listening from start to finish, going on a little like spiritual journey or whatever, where today everything's just like singles and, on your phone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things and there are some people I've met that are, so they kind of get it, but I think the younger generation now unfortunately will never know that feeling of waiting for the mail to come and opening up a tape that you got, of some band, and or like you said, a new album, and getting that, and just can't wait to get it home and put it on, and nothing else matters except for putting that on, and like you said, looking at all of the stuff that's included in the album and the package that I mean, that stuff nowadays, music is, it's on your phone, boom, touch, yep, there it is, bam, bam, it's kind of, some of the soul of it, you know what I'm saying, is kind of gone, but it's a different time, and you got to embrace it. I mean, we embrace technology as much as we can, just because it's here to stay. I mean,
Yeah, it's convenient, when you're at the gym and you need some good riffs, to get you through your lift or whatever,
right?
like that, to pull it up on your phone. But like I said, the kids don't know what they're missing today, when, because we live in this go society, and when you sat down and put the headphones on and put the album on and you sat there for the whole story, that's all that you focused on. It was just like you're on the journey until it was over.
Right. And that's where a lot of people, I got a lot of older songs. I'm sure you do too, where I got songs that are, that for me are they're like some of my most favorite songs. They're, and they're not, it's not that it's, I mean, I got a lot of metal songs that are, I like a lot of music, but I have a lot of songs that are like like you just said, when you put on music and you're all alone, and you listen to the stuff and just pound it in you, and you read the words, and you start kind of you kind of connect with those songs. That's great. I mean, that's where a lot of my favorite songs come from.
Yeah, for sure. And then you said the album's going to be dropping here. If people want a hard copy, I guess it'd be the 10th. They can get it.
10th or the 9th. The 9th after 11 p.m. Central Time. It'll be for sale. We usually end up. I take care of the website, so what I usually end up doing is I put it into. You'll go to it, and it'll say it's in maintenance mode, telling whatever. And then as soon as 11 o'clock can get to it, I let it go live, and that's the earliest if you want it, the earliest you can get it, that's where to get it. Otherwise, wait till midnight. It'll be on Spotify, all the other streaming platforms. High Rollers will have it sometime. I'm not 100% sure with them what time. Like I said, they're in Germany, so I don't really know. When do they actually release? I'm not 100% sure. So, but sometime around midnight.
And you were mentioning Houston. Is like any other shows you guys got lined up that you can announce now?
We have the Houston show end of March. In September, I think mid to late September. I don't know dates exactly. The shows are set. We will be in New York. We're doing, I think, Philly, Washington, and New York, like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday thing in September. That one's set. In October, we will be in the Czech Republic. We're headlining the Thrash Nightmare Festival on Saturday night. We're the headliners on that one. That we're really looking forward to that one. And then we have another show that it's not 100% as far as the date that I can say or anything, but it's going to happen, and that's in June in Chicago, which is right close to us. And that's all we got. That's all we got so far. We're hoping some festivals contact us. We're ready to go. We want to play the festivals. That's what we're really setting the band up for. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, we're not going to push because it ultimately doesn't matter. What we want to do and what's going to happen is two different things.
Yeah, gotcha.
But that's it for right now.
Awesome. Well, Jim, I want to ask you a couple of questions I normally ask my guests before we get ready to wrap up here. I like asking this one, the fellow family men out there and stuff. I don't know if you got kids and everything too, but for like I was saying, the world of go and all the chaos going on, I like to to ask what class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
What I missed the first part. What part? What class?
What class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
Wow, I think there's a lot of them from the kids I know. I'm trying to remember what. This is probably gonna be a really odd one for you. But there was when I was in high school, I was actually a little before that, but there was a class, and you're probably like, this guy's gonna say music, which I think would be I think everybody should learn a musical instrument. But there was a class when I was in high school called Math for Everyday Living, and I think everybody should that should be a mandatory thing, because I think now that was something that just taught you how to balance a checkbook, and you know what I mean, all this basic stuff.
Yeah.
And now I think it's, people are like, oh, I got algebra and all this stuff. It's like, what are you going to use that for? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Probably not what you're looking for, but that's that's what I think.
Yeah, exactly. And then, who are 3 people who've inspired you and you can credit for making you the person you are today?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm going to have to say my wife, is definitely one of those. Jay, our other guitar player, he inspired me a lot when we were younger playing. Still does today. He's amazing. He's an amazing guitar player, and I always see some stuff online about there's a thing in the guitar community. People like guys who can downpick really fast, and people think James Hetfield can downpick fast. James Hetfield can't downpick that fast. Until you see Jay downpick. Jay can. Hetfield would put his pick down if he's seen Jay downpick. So Jay has been a big inspiration. And I have to say my mom. I would have to say, my parents were divorced, and I grew up with my mom, and I'd have to say my mom.
Gotcha. And then, are there any causes or organizations that you support and encourage others to check out?
Oh, I lost you there.
All right. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
And any causes or organizations that you support and encourage others to check out?
Not really. We have posted a couple GoFundMe pages or GoFundMe things links on our Facebook page, which are our drummer's mother is suffering from ALS, and so he's going through a little rough time right now. So obviously that's all that stuff is great to donate to if you can. And we had another one for Scott Elliott, the guy who mixed and mastered Swallowed by Hell, the album. He's running into some issues. He's got a wife they're trying to get married. She's from Ukraine. They lived in Ukraine. I didn't know any of this when he did our album, and I found out later, but they were in Ukraine. They had to leave when the war broke out, and he lost like 8 BC rich guitars he had that he was collecting, and they lost everything, and so we put that on there. So, but normally I don't, I mean, there's great causes out there, and if you can afford to do something, do it. And if not, I mean, we did. I put them up, not saying give these people money, but I just encourage people to read the stories and do what you can if you can do something. But I'm not a big. I just try to be decent to everybody. But I don't stand behind any one thing.
Gotcha. And then, favorite toy as a child?
Evel Knievel. Oh my
God.
Evel Knievel toys. I love those freaking things. Them and G.I.
The one with the kind of like the zip line you're talking about?
That and then they had the ramp where you cranked it up on the side.
Oh yeah.
Shot. Yeah, I get a kick out of the videos on YouTube now. These people are hooking up drills to them and whining this little Evel Knievel thing, and they're launching them over their freaking driveways and shit. Evil Knievel was great.
That's the number one toy I get on here when I ask that question.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So I must get a lot of guys around our age bracket. So
that's so weird because I didn't even have to think about that when you asked that question, and I didn't know you were going to ask it. I just Evil Knievel. I played with that thing all the time.
Yeah. Nice.
That and Hot Wheels. I love. Everybody played with cars.
Yeah.
Sandbox and stuff. But yeah, Evil Knievel. That's it.
Awesome. And then any message for our military members that are currently serving overseas?
I have 3 older brothers, all of which were in Vietnam, and they did not get the, how do you want to say, the hero welcome that a lot of today's military gets when they came back. I think all if you know somebody who's in the military, or if you see somebody as their respect, I've always lived that you respect your elders, but anybody in the military, that kind of respect is it's unquestionable. And I think everybody, and some of this is hard because today is the world right now. It's so messed up.
Yeah.
There's people, and I like I said, it's hard for me because I don't want to get into stuff too much, but there's people that are going out of their way to throw stuff on paintings to try to make a statement, and people are blocking people from getting to their jobs or whatever on roads because they're protesting all these different freaking things, and there's people who've died for this country, and I don't think they did it so you could do that. You know what I mean? That's a hard thing for me to discuss without getting.
Well, I'm with you. I feel you, man.
You know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah.
I'm just a guy who plays the guitar. I don't have, my opinion ultimately doesn't matter on stuff. But I think people need to treat everybody better. And not just military. Military is, like I said, because with my brothers, our military is, anybody who's a veteran, serving now, anything is, their respect is, like I said, it's unquestionable. You don't question that.
Awesome. Well, Jim, man, it's been great talking with you, man. I appreciate your time. And for all the listeners out there that, talking about, some of the new kids out there, that might be hearing about Morbid Saint for the first time and want to check you guys out and support you guys, where would you send them?
Facebook. We got the Morbid Saint official on Facebook. We're on Instagram. I think most of the stuff is Morbid Saint official Instagram. We got morbidsaint.com. That's where anything you want to get official. We haven't, as far as merch goes, we haven't pushed any of that outside of us handling that. We're having that all made ourselves. So any official merch is there is some stuff being licensed out, like High Rollers is going to have some licensed stuff. But merch, anything from morbidsaint.com. Spotify, everybody, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all, it's everywhere. I would myself suggest you go to our website, but I know websites are getting a little kind of like a thing of the past in a sense. But those would be the main spots to check everything out. And our website, the day the album drops on the 9th, The entire website will be updated with all brand new merch, some older stuff that we're bringing back. You'll be able to get Spectrum of Death, the album, on there. You'll be able to get Destruction System on there, and obviously Swallowed by Hell. Everything happens on the website on the 9th.
Awesome. Well, hey, Jim, thanks again for your time, man. It was great talking to you, and I definitely encourage. I'm feel honored that I got an early listen, but I definitely encourage everybody, any thrash metal fans, to get on your website on the 9th and pick it up when it drops.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the request for the interview. You know, we've been getting some here and there and stuff, and we're always willing to talk to anybody who's willing to listen. And unfortunately, it's always, if anybody's out there going, oh, I keep seeing interviews with this guy. I'm just the one who has the most time in the band. Once in a while, I'll be able to get another guy in the band and we'll do something, but we appreciate it, and that's just the way it is. But like I said, we appreciate the offer, and hopefully you get to come see us live.
Yeah, hopefully you guys come out to Cleveland, man, play a show. Love to have you at the Agora or something.
Cleveland, yeah. I told you about the show in New York. We were thinking about looking for something in Cleveland for that one. So you never know.
Yeah, sounds good, man. All right, you take care, Jim. Thanks for your time.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.